think it's working.
Hello, Eisters! How are we doing? I'm
Hello.
back from vacation, and I got a gift with me today. It is myself, Almir, and together with me today we have Mio, our dear game director.
Hi everybody, I'm Mio, the game director.
So today is a bit of a special stream. For the first hour we're going to be playing the prototype of Payday 3 that has been making the rounds recently. So we figured, yeah, why not play it together, and Mio can talk a bit about it from his perspective as a game director on the game. So for this stream we're going to be focusing on questions surrounding the prototype mainly, but we might pick up a few other ones as well. After the first hour is done, I'm gonna let Mio continue being Mio, a game director in Payday 3, and I'll be playing The Tribe Must Survive with all of you for an hour. So, let's start with the first question. 01411 saying, hello, any news today? Do we have any news today?
No, I don't think we have any big news yet.
No big news today, Zero. We're gonna be focusing on playing the prototype version of Payday 3. But thank you for your question. I thought it would be RoboQuest as Nuclear. Oh, we played RoboQuest last time I streamed, but today we're gonna be playing Tribe, but we'll be playing more RoboQuest, that's for sure. What else? Elizabeth is with us in chat. With us in the room we have Sebastian as well. And I figure... Duke Main says, I'm once again asking for a golden spoon weapon charm. Alright, thank you for that request. Appreciate it. So I think we're gonna jump straight into it, shall we?
Yep.
So Mio, you want to take it off and let us know what we're looking at and why?
Yep, sure. I'll just get this visible on the stream. There we go. Oh, we have a bit of Almir cut off.
Can you scoot in? I'm here.
Okay, we're here. Cool. So yes, this is a old build from, I believe, 2020 that's been making the rounds, as you have said earlier. So this is very early in the game's development. As you see, there's mostly just a list of things and not much else going on. I'm just gonna drop into it one by one what we're doing. So we're gonna start with this level _ prototype, which is what we call the loud prototype. And yeah, just to we're just gonna click here and we're just gonna load in right away. So this is the level that we made to test loud combat initially when we started. So the idea was, hey, you start off, your gun's already out, there's no casing mode. As you can see, all the stuff are very old assets. So we have cops that I believe are also for Payday 2, a lot of the models are for Payday 2, and even the UI looks like Payday 2's UI. So we were essentially just trying to get a build up and running in Unreal as soon as possible. So we just carried over mechanics rather than we had like paper design at this point for various things, obviously. So like, for example, you see that we have the Payday 2 shield style armor, but we did have like an armor design at this point. We just wanted to get something up and running as quickly as possible. So we were just doing this for like level designs. We're setting up this level to test objectives, test spaces, and get familiar with Unreal. Because
could you, sorry for interrupting me,
sure.
Could you just lower the in-game audio? Can you do that?
I can lower it.
Oh, you can do it? Okay.
I hope.
I hope you can. Can you?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So yeah, this is the first level that one of our level designers made that had previously only, primarily worked on Payday 2. And basically she used this to also familiarize herself with Unreal, since she was used to Diesel up until then. And you can see a lot of old things here, so this is one of the drills that we experimented with. So this drill is basically, as you see, it has like a speed setting, so you can set it to move faster, but then it overheats faster, and it also checks the material that it's drilling. So different materials have different preferences, how fast you should drill them and how fast they overheat. So the idea was, you don't just leave the drill here, but you kind of like have to babysit as well rather than just repair it if it breaks down.
So why didn't this drill make the final version of the game?
So internally, we didn't really have great reception for this. Like, people internally didn't like it. I personally liked it. I always thought it was kind of cool, but we just kind of talked about it and decided to go with more classic drills and a bit less on the drill volume. But if I still kind of like this. If people think it's more interesting, they're of course welcome to tell us.
What do you say, chat? Do you find this type of drill more interesting? I mean, we wouldn't need to use it for every heist, but it'd be cool to have it for one heist at least, no?
Yeah, because now you see it change the material to copper, so you have to like recalibrate it real quick as well. Which we kind of have that already. We have the like little recalibration thing, but it's not like material based. It's just like, oh hey, the drill is almost gonna jam. You better, interact with it so it doesn't jam.
Mm-hmm.
But this was a bit more involved.
Slinkwings337 says, I'd rather not babysit the drill, but we have a lot of people saying they'd love to see it added, so...
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say that this would, if we did this would be for every drill in the game. I think this is something that the heist is more focused on, rather than just like every single drill you put in. I need to do an ammo run because I don't have ammo skills.
Higgy says, it would be cool for a special drill on a heist at least. So yeah, I think that would be cool. Yeah, make your voices heard, gang. If you want to see this type of drill added to a future heist, that's definitely something we could look into. We know for a fact now Mio would be happy at least.
Yeah, I would like to see the drill back. I think it's cool. But again, internally we agree that this might not have been a good idea, but if people who play the game disagree, I think that matters more.
There's one comment here. What's with the armor icon below the dot in the center of the screen, and why didn't it make to the retail build of the game?
So that is when you've dealt enough damage to the armor to break it. As to why it didn't make it to the retail version of the game, I'm not 100% sure. I didn't have the overview of the project that I have now. However, I do think that in the future, if we make armor on enemies more relevant, like whether you should know whether it broke or not, I think that's something we would add back.
Sprin2 asks, Sprin02, sorry about that, says, hello Almir, what was the purpose of this stream? The purpose of this stream was that we've seen a leaked version of this very build, so we figured rather than not talking about it, let's just do a stream with Mio where we can talk about it and answer any questions people might have who've been curious about the contents of that build. That's the purpose, Sprin. I hope that was clear for you.
Is this Payday 3? Yes, this is a 2020 version of Payday 3.
Adrian Eon31 says, imagine drilling on stealth. If it overheats, it gets louder, and the vault material could be randomized.
Oh, that's a dozer. But yeah, as you see, so dozer was the first special we actually implemented, simply because it's kind of like the simplest one. Doesn't have any fancy behaviors other than shoots you real bad.
Yeah. Here's a question for you. I noticed the build has offline no Nebula and a server browser. Why were these removed from the final build?
When you develop a game, you don't have all the infrastructure available in the game. We have to be able to test the game somehow before we have, a server and an account system. And, at this point, yes, this version of the game works perfectly fine offline. But as we added more things to the game, more of those things took servers into account. So, for example, all of the AI is on server side. It's not like local, and that takes computer resources. Which then, if we just took the current game and just blanket made it like work offline, a lot of those things would either break or run poorly. So that wasn't none of that requires those online dependencies is in right now, because we made them with a server in mind, like later as we added to the game. So that's why this version, works without any accounts and works offline. So it's not like really that it's removed. It's more like a debug testing function. It's kind of like asking like, oh, why did you remove God mode and infinite ammo cheats? Like we didn't. We need them to be able to test the game. And even when we test the game now as it is, we have to, simulate dedicated servers locally on our Unreal branch so that we be able to make sure that everything works correctly. Because sometimes you get bugs if you're playing, just offline solo that players wouldn't see if they played the retail version of the game.
Tvordak says, the main menu song and on this high song is neat. Is it possible for them to be added into the jukebox in Payday 3 in the future? The main menu is, in my opinion, more fitting. I couldn't read the last of the question there. What do you think about that? Could we add these songs in the future of the game?
I think that's something we could talk to with
Gustavo,
and the audio team.
Do you like this song, gang? Chat? Let me know in chat if you like this song. If so, we're gonna talk to Gustavo and see if we can maybe add it in the future.
I think the idea for adding it to a jukebox, once we have a jukebox, is a pretty good way to do it.
Yeah. Yes, a lot of yes and positive shoutouts for Gustavo's awesome sound. The main menu looks way too average, alright?
Well, I'm glad that the first thing we put out with the main menu was average in 2020, so we made some steps up.
Bus driver Ted says, so would locally hosted servers run worse than dedicated servers since it would all be all client processed client side?
Yes, it would. Because like I know so I don't know all the technical details because I'm not a engineer or programmer, but I do know that the AI stuff, as it is right now, runs on dedicated servers, and calculating all of that adds to the load on your local machine. So if your machine can run Payday 3 as it is right now, it might not be able to do so if we were to just let you post it all client side.
I did not kidnap a fish, says, is this the prototype of Golden Shark?
No. So the Loud prototype was a heist. We never made a full heist. We just, it did its purpose, which was test the combat, and we kind of scrapped it and never went from there further. So it's none of it lives in current heist. But let's not segue to this one because this one might seem more familiar to people.
Shadow King 58 says, I noticed that there are lock voice lines at the beginning of this mission. Are those unused lines from Payday 2, or were they recorded specifically for this? What caused him to be replaced with Shade? Was she always intended for the game? Also, can we jump into the van again like in this build?
I'll try to take those one at a time.
Yeah.
So we always wanted to have a new handler for Payday 3. We didn't know whether it was... At this point, I don't think we knew if it was going to be Shade or not. Like, we were still working out the concept and premise for the handler. I don't even think we had, like, voice casts. But the lock voice lines were there because, we worked with, Ian Russell for Payday 2, and we decided, well, let's record a few lines to kind of just make this build more lively, like more immersive, but it was never the intent to have him be the main handler. We have discussed if we bring back Locke as a handler, that it would be like a secondary one for some other heists, but we never really wanted him to be the main one. Kind of like how he's kind of like a secondary one in Payday 2 as well.
Harold 3 March says, it would be so cool to have both Locke and Shade commenting during the heists as a duo.
I think that would be also interesting. I think the matter of when will we have Locke, helping out in the heist, like within the heist, is more of a question of when rather than if. But yeah, so this here is what we call the stealth prototype internally. So
do you recognize the heist, gang? Chat?
It's the best heist to get back in the saddle. So it's no rest for the wicked. So back when we did the Loud prototype, we were like, okay, we did a map to test out. Why can I not choose? There we go. To test out Loud, but not to test out Stealth. and we decided to make one to test out stealth mechanics. And this one is pretty early on. As you can see, I'm not particularly stealthing this. I think it's because most of the stealth mechanics were not in at this point. Like, you know, there's no going loud or anything like that. But eventually, once we had the stealth prototype, and everybody kind of went, well, wouldn't it be cool if you could still go loud in this map? So, you know, we enabled it to be, you know, both. Like, it was both a loud and a stealth map. And once we were happy with it, we kind of went, okay, you know, this is pretty neat. We learned a lot about, you know, working with Unreal, working, you know, with the new engine, new combat, and all of that stuff. So we're just gonna make our first proper map. So we made Golden Shark, which was technically our first playable, and that was the first map we actually completed. But then eventually we went back to this map and said, like, well, we could probably make this a full map and make it fun. So then that's how it became No Rest for the Wicked.
I'm seeing questions about Boys in Blue here. Any news on Boys in Blue from Why Though? So Boys in Blue is still in production. It is an upcoming DLC heist that we are making. I saw another question regarding legacy heists, and yes, we will be adding more legacy heists for free in the future as well. Sly Sinatra says, did you guys put up this build on purpose? Genius marketing, if so.
I'm not in marketing, so I don't know.
Yeah, I can confirm we didn't put up this build. It got leaked. Fat Alone says, will there be any in-game events coming soon?
Nothing we have announced yet.
There you go. Is a vote force kick player mechanic being worked on? Way too many AFK players in pubs.
We are working on a vote kick mechanic. I believe we mentioned that in the Operation Mayback feature list, but that is being worked on, yes.
Hot Rod Fiend says, I don't think I've ever seen game devs do anything like this before, playing an old prototype. Super interesting, thank you. You're welcome. Do you have any comments on that? How does it feel playing this build? It's been a while ago, right?
It's been a while. It's been a real while. No, I'm surprised how much I remember of it, to be honest. That's more surprising than anything. Feels like yesterday in some ways, but also I keep reflexively doing certain mechanics, and it's just, oh, right, this wasn't in at this point.
Fresh TV says, Almir Gaming! Painted the heist prototype when? Whoa, that's an old build, Shizbricker. I don't think it'll be easy for us to find the prototype for Painted the Heist, unfortunately.
I mean, we still have some OG folks, and maybe one of them has it, who knows.
Persicovi Ronin says, can you return the Bomb Forest heist from Payday 2 in Payday 3? I mean, we could, but we'll see which will be the next legacy heist we put out.
So you're gonna have to shoot it and then it works. But yeah, the objective flow is here is completely different. But as you can see, this is a lot of like going around back and forth, because it was, like I said, at this point it was primarily a stealth mission. Oh no, we do have assaults going. I stand corrected. So this was probably when we also added loud afterwards.
Penny Play says, I appreciate this stream. The community has felt like we don't get as much communication as we'd like. So having you guys sit down and directly answer questions and show the leak build off is really cool, and I'm glad you're doing it. You're welcome. I'm pretty sure you mean Goat Sim Heist, Almir says, making submit. How dare you? Rose6351 says, did you guys consider having an optional peer-to-peer option or moving back to that?
I don't know if we've shared the details on how we are doing what we announced this solo mode.
So what we've said can be found on the Operation Medic Bag website. Please have a read through there regarding what we write regarding offline mode and so on. I would rather see content you're actually working on, says Termite. Yeah, I can appreciate that. We'll get to that as well in the future.
There we go.
Furrimano2 says they even have the old armor system.
Yeah, like I said before, this was put together, as fast and as early as possible that we could. So a lot of the mechanics here are basically just Payday 2 mechanics and like Payday 2 assets. Like you can see, the SWAT models, the weapons, the UI. So obviously, for programmers, it's much easier to just go like, okay, we're just gonna take what we see in Payday 2 and put it in while the designers work out the designs. I believe at this point we were pretty much decided on doing the armor system that we have now in Payday 3, but I believe it was not implemented yet.
Let's see here. Commander CH says, in the prototype, the sub-objectives are ticked off rather than removed. Any reason as to why it was changed for the full game?
I would say that the answer is probably the same. Because in a lot of these cases, like you don't have a programmer or a UI artist or person just asking for every single thing. Like here, for example, like all of these stats. Like, you might not have a person ask you, like, oh, how do you want this phrase? Which, like, one do you want to display? They just kind of want to put it in. And then, like, that's, like, further refined. So, I don't think it was, like, a conscious decision to go, like, tick boxes specifically. And then, like, oh, no, we don't like tick boxes. We want this. It was more just like, hey, we have the earliest possible iteration of this. And, okay, now let's see for what we actually want, players to see. I guess we can go to this one. This one's a bit less exciting, but it'll probably be familiar. So this is another example of let's just test and see how it looks and works. So everybody might recognize this from Payday 2 because this is basically Payday 2's jewelry store just put in just so it can work. Like let's just see how it looks to port it over. Obviously, all these assets are not what you would call modern game assets, but they also, they're just assets. They don't actually do anything. Like the glass doesn't break. We don't have NPCs reacting to you or anything. This was just let's get like a sense of scale. What is the correct size for something? Like even like the UI interactions here. This doesn't mean that we used to have these. We actually never had something like this in the game. This is more just like, well, we just literally took everything from Payday 2 and just put it in here just to see how it looks and see how it feels, and yeah, we can go to the next one because this one doesn't even have objectives. Level, feature test level, I believe. Yeah, and you'll see a lot of these in if you work with Unreal or if you've seen like how game developers work. A lot of these are just let's test things. So this is for testing the code system. This is for that's a grenade. This is for testing the drill systems, camera detection, shooting range. This is just like so you can, without needing to load an entire level, you can test very specific aspects of the game. Because when you're working, if you need to like load every level in the editor, it takes a while. It takes longer than it does take in the actual game. So you want something fast and snappy if you just want to say test the accuracy of a gun.
Cool.
And then we have here, which are just like specific feature levels. I'm not sure how many of them even work.
Sumyonke Hitsma says Payday 3 Autopsy.
Yeah, so this is the AI room system test. So what this does is how our AI works in the game, and something we wanted to do from the beginning is that they move in squads room by room. So that they kind of like, at least they move much faster than regular SWAT, like a real life SWAT, but we still wanted that idea of, they go to the door, they throw a flashbang, they clear a room, and so on. So this is what we use to test, is it working? How fast does it take? If a player is 5 rooms away from an AI squad that you spawn, how long does it take them to get to that player? And even like, when we have something like this, we test things and then we put it in the actual game and it might not work as well. So for example, for when we played the game and we had this breaching behavior, we got a lot of internal complaints like, oh, I don't see any enemies, it take too long to arrive. And then we realized, oh, it's because, they're breaching every single door. They go to every door and go like peek and like, oh, all clear, and they go to the next door and all clear. That turns out you just never see them because of that. But then we were like, okay, well, now that we know how it works in the actual game, we'll just make them only do it if they see that the player is in a room. So like they know, oh, there's somebody in this room, so they'll go and do that procedure only like if there's a player to witness it, so to say. Then feature agility. So this is just like a very simple parkour thing for testing heights for vaulting. So we have the vaulting thing, which is new for Payday 3, and we had to test what felt like a good height to climb on, and what felt like a good height to not climb on. So for example, like we can't do this, and this is important because when you're making environmental assets in the game, like tables and shelves and all sorts of things, you kind of want, it's gonna feel bad if you have a table that's this high and you can't like climb it or something like that. So that's why this is important for artists as well. And this was us testing different metrics. So these aren't the metrics we actually use in the game.
Did you have to use table as an example? Couldn't you pick anything
I
else?
also said cupboard.
Oh, you did. Thank you.
This is also I believe this was for testing sliding. So it was kind of like, okay, how far can you slide, and what felt good or not. Obviously, the current slide is very slow compared to the one in the final game, but this was something that was used for that as well.
Moomin427 says, honestly, thank you so much for showing us all this. It's super interesting to see how game testing works.
So this is I believe a door test. So I didn't make this one. I didn't make a lot of these because I'm not a level designer. But this is basically just testing how doors animate and how AI perceives them. Like an AI will see a fully open like vault door, for example. But there's also stuff to test, like what if a player stands here and the door opens? Like, does it animate correctly? Is there clipping? Is there something else going wrong? So that's what this is for. There's just like, again, a lot of these feature levels are, a programmer made this, for example, or a tech artist made this, and they're like, well, I need to test if it works properly, and then they need something to keep loading in, rather than, playing the map, the stealth prototype, and doing all the objectives until they get to the vault door.
Yeah.
Feature example, what was this one? I think this is just a example level for people when they're making feature levels.
It's KMD says, do you plan to report anything from this patch or version of the game that isn't mentioned in OMB that the community likes? I think we talked about one thing already, like the drill. So if you, our dear heisting community, like the existing drill in this prototype, that's definitely good feedback for us for the future to possibly add it into a future heist.
Yeah, because that sometimes happens, in games where like you internally don't think it's a good idea, but people who play the game are like, no, actually, we want this, or we want this, but in a different way.
Yeah.
What is this? I think this is just like interaction feature. So you can testing just like the interaction, press F to do something. A lot of these in this area are not particularly exciting because they're not meant to be exciting. They're just meant to make sure that stuff works. As you can see, I threw a grenade. We don't even have a grenade model here. It's just like an orange block. I think this is just for drill testing. Is this the new drill? Yeah, this is the new drill. So for those who didn't see it, again, how it works is you have progress and you have the overheating, and then you have the material, and you can go like, well, I want this to go fast, and then for cobalt steel, it's like, okay, it's fine if it goes fast, but I believe if it switches to copper, it overheats way too quickly, so you have to slow it down for that. So the idea was, depending on material, you can go fast or not, but you can also just go like, well, I want to go fast, but then I pause it, it unoverheats, and then it continues going. I don't know if these have the same material. This one's concrete, so this one's new. So you see this one's not overheating as much because it's just, concrete. I don't know if that's how it actually works in real life, but I guess that's how whoever put it in decided it should work. You can also slow it down, and then you have like a real-time timer telling you up there, like, okay, this is how long it'll take. I'm being shot at. I don't see the other part showing up where you have to like adjust it, but we also have that, like I said before. Feature template, I believe this is just like a template level. Yep, this is basically, hey, copy paste this and put your feature in so that you can test it, so there's nothing interesting there. And then UV light. So this is a mechanic that we tested out and you see in the main game, so you kind of go here and it's like, okay, we have 6, 8, and 0. Okay, well it's one of these, so it's probably 0, 8, 8, 6. I think you need to find the key card first, though. Which is it this one?
It could be cool to upgrade drills like you do for the weapons, says Toxic Brain.
Yeah. I think there's something we could definitely do with that concept that you see here in the prototype. But if we have an upgradable drill, we have to make sure that that's a drill that you can use in multiple heists and not just one. So that's also something to think about.
The real lunatic says, once again, I humbly request that you guys be more open about what you're doing instead of being so secretive to keep engagement high. I appreciate that. We're trying to be as open as we can, and this stream is one of those attempts. So I take that as you being happy with this, but that you'd like to see more. So thank you for the feedback. Appreciate it.
So this one sadly does not work because we have to F6 to spawn enemies, but they sadly fall through the floor.
Oh no.
Yep, but as you see, these are various cover points, and then stairs for elevation. It's just a little mini gauntlet to test whether they're using cover behaviors correctly. I think this is just to test the progression system, which was you walk in, you complete the heist, and it awards you things. Test baseline. I don't know what that one is. Doesn't seem like there's particularly anything interesting here.
Furman02 says, let's be real, you're only showing this because it got leaked. No, I don't think that's true. I think we wouldn't have shown it before because we wouldn't have thought it was interesting to you all. But obviously there's a lot of interest in chat regarding this and in the community. So that's why we decided to jump on, and instead of having you in the community have to guess why we did certain things and why certain things are as they are, we're here telling you what our thoughts were at the time and what made us make those decisions.
Yeah. So this is probably from the sound team because we have different audio volumes in the game and they propagate sound much differently. So this is just to test the various environments for that. And yeah, that's everything from this list. So I think I'm just gonna put us here in the No Rest for the Wicked prototype, and we can maybe answer a few questions, I guess.
Yeah, sure. Olar Cody 13 says, has there been any talks of overhauling any particular systems in the game lately?
I mean, we have announced that we are redoing how we handle progression, so we're moving away from the challenge system and focusing on payouts exclusively, or infamy points exclusively from payouts, so per bag, and a few other modifiers we're throwing in, but that's the big rework we're doing. We also have a few things we haven't announced that are sort of additional systems to existing ones to kind of give them more depth. So kind of like how you see the adrenaline system that we've added for medic bags. Stuff like that. We're going to be adding probably more mechanics to the game that you can engage with, whether it's for weapons or something else or skills. But expect to see more this year. We can't communicate at 88 though.
W4S9 says, any chance of making smoke grenades great again? Sicario mains are suffering so hard.
I think smoke grenades are good because I used a lot of smoke grenades, but if people disagree, I would like to know why. I think smoke grenades have a skill investment to be really good, But we have mentioned that we're doing another skill line. I don't sadly remember if we announced the name of it, but I don't know, we did. We said we were doing an assassin skill line. So that one will have something for smoke grenade enjoyers.
Cool. Joe Skas Rap says, what about showing the dev version of VR? Is it in the game? It just crashes after a few seconds in the lobby when using the VR flag. I'm interested to see what has been done so far and if you learned a lot from other VR games like Half-Life 2 VR. So maybe I can answer this. I don't think we ever, for Payday 3 so far, have developed towards VR, at least not intentionally. We added VR to Payday 2 in its post-launch. That took us a year and a half to develop with a team. We added that for free. We currently have no plans of adding VR for Payday 3, but if we do, we'll of course let you know. But it's always great to see Payday VR fans out there.
I see a question from Kajinama and information about the level unlock requirements for the LMG or other information about it. Not yet, but we will have more information about it before it is usable in game.
Gabs F14 says, I would like to see developer commentary like Valve did with their games, or even a YouTube video with the same objective. Yeah, that would be cool. I think this stream so far will suffice, but that would definitely be cool.
Yeah, I think because we have so many different people on different heights as well, I think it will definitely be interesting to hear various perspectives, so it might be something that we do down the line.
Piola42 says, why did you feel like it was... Oh, sorry. I'm yawning. Sorry, Piola. Why did you feel like it was necessary to change the armor system? No offense, but it feels like reinventing the wheel for no reason.
So when we designed Payday 3, I mentioned this before, we kind of went from sort of top to low design. So we kind of went with okay, what's the premise of Payday? What is Payday about? Payday is about stealing. Payday is about the rush of a heist, get in and get out. So we kind of prioritized that atmosphere over certain low level details for systems. So when we were looking at everything, health, armor, weapon handling, all of that stuff, we viewed with armor we want you to eventually run out of armor, run out of resources, and get out. We want you to feel you're a heister in a movie and the cops are closing in and you're trying to get out. Obviously, we know that not everybody is a fan of the current system we put in, which is why we also are working on alternatives like the adaptive armor that we put out, which is sort of a middle ground to it. So the answer why we felt we needed to change it, we didn't feel like we needed to change it, but from what we were trying to achieve, we felt just having a shield system literally as it is in Payday 2 would not have achieved some design goals we wanted.
Thank you, Mio. Let's see. I've been seeing comments regarding the Wi-Fi circles and that they perceive them as annoying. Is that something you'd like to mention?
Yeah, so, with upcoming heists, you will be seeing probably very few to no Wi-Fi circles. We've gotten the memo on what people think about them. And for existing heists, we have been internally, discussing and workshopping what we can do to, make them less, I guess frustrating, is the word I would like to use. But I don't have a timeline on in what shape that will come, to fruition and when it will happen. But yes, we are aware. We've gotten the note.
Thank you, Mio. Is there a different mechanic, a mini game or something where you actually hack the Wi-Fi? Asks Cthulhu Plus.
That's one of the things we were discussing. We had a hacking minigame in one of the early builds that we used for cameras. So instead of just holding F and you hack a camera, it was sort of a little thing you do on your phone. So that's also been something we've discussed internally as, okay, do we want to do, this instead? It's a prototype. It's a minigame we haven't used in the full game because it was, it took too long for how little effect it had, like hacking cameras, but it might be repurposed for something else down the line.
Here's a question from Scrungo Fan 3. If the design philosophy was to be a war of attrition, why is ammo, arguably the second most important resource, so easy to get?
So, when we say the goal is attrition, that doesn't mean that every single aspect of the game is subject to attrition. We don't give you like loot attrition, for example, or things like that. We tested with making ammo also in the same like category, and we found that part was not working, simply because if you have ammo but you have little armor and little health, you can still kind of power through because you have the means, you have the ammo to kill enemies, you feel like there is a chance. But if you have no ammo, then it kind of cascades where, well, I have no ammo but I have armor and health, but it doesn't really do anything because I can't kill the enemies. So that was sort of yes, it's a war of attrition, but certain resources have more attrition than others.
Thank you for the answer. Nuclear223 says, Almir is ignoring me because he knows I had too much power launching the game in VR and all. Listen, Nuclear, that you managed to launch it in VR is a miracle, alright? We have not added any features or functionality that would necessarily allow you to do so, but appreciate you.
The old whiner says, just add melee weapons, winky face. So, we would like to add melee weapons down the line. I think we've been pretty open about, like, yes, we would like to do this, but we would like to do it on a level of fidelity that's higher than Payday 2, because in Payday 2 it's kind of just like one swing, so we would want to at least, make it as good as, Walking Dead melee, but probably, like, better. But that requires a lot more work because it's more animation intensive, more resource intensive. So it's something if we commit to, it's like, a big thing for that year. And, for this year, we're prioritizing other things. But yes, the idea of, well, if you had melee combat or melee options, then ammo wouldn't be such a necessity. That is actually correct. And, when we have melee weapons, maybe we will revisit the ammo economy. But right now, we're kind of okay with it. Like, there's probably some tweaks on a per weapon basis we can do, but in general, it just doesn't end up being fun if you have no ammo and you can't shoot and defend yourself.
Yeah, I think you answered this already, but it's one of the hot topics. Cody asks in YouTube, why were the drill mechanics scrapped?
So when we tested the drill mechanics outside of the design team, we didn't really get good reception, from internal testing. So the design team was basically just like, okay, well, we think this is cool, but obviously, like, the team doesn't align on that, so we'll just move with something else because, it's not just like one person's or one team's decision on everything.
Thank you, Mio. Let's see. Harald 3 March says, melee in Payday 3 definitely has to be more useful. It was kind of silly in Payday 2.
Yeah, but it's only kind of like, a give and take. If we do, melee combat, we have to maybe postpone certain other things to take up the same resources. So maybe there will be less firearms, or maybe there will be, if we go like, okay, do we want flame weapons or do we want melee weapons? Like, maybe that's also like a give and take. So it's a big decision, which is why I always say, if there is a big demand for it, please let us know, because that's the kind of systems that when we say we're adding it, it's a flagship feature for that year because it's so resource consuming. Please tell me. So Tulu Plus says, please tell me you're keeping the current stealth mechanics. I love how stealth is so accessible in Payday 3. We don't have anything planned to majorly rework the stealth in terms of scrapping what we have, or if we do anything, it's mostly building upon it.
Adrian Eon31 says, I don't know how the rest of my fellow heisters will take it, but I'll be waiting patiently for the updates. Don't rush it. Take your time to implement everything adequately. By the way, the queue is eternal. Appreciate your kind words. Dev Update 6. Oh, you're talking about the next Dev Update video? It's in the works, but we have not launched it yet.
The Great and Powerful DC on YouTube asks, "What on earth is going on with the voice lines, by the way? So many unused voice lines that really need to be added." I agree. It is something that we are actively working towards addressing. Was LMG considered to be overkill weapon before you decided to make it a normal weapon? No. When we announced the overkill weapons, we had a lot of people with concerns that that means that LMGs will never be a regular weapon; they'll only be overkill weapons, and that's not the case. If we do an overkill LMG, it's gonna be overkill. This one, we specifically looked for an LMG where we can say, okay, this is an LMG that's something that's reasonably, like a primary weapon, but when and if we add an LMG that's an overkill weapon, it's gonna feel like an upgrade compared to the current one.
Salteros says, will we be seeing any more Payday 2 heists? I feel Payday 3 is lacking. I assume it's heists they were saying. Oh, I couldn't see. So what we're doing is we will be adding more legacy heists, whether they're from Payday the Heist or Payday 2 remains to be seen. But you can expect more legacy heists for Payday 3. W4S9 says, I'd love for more overkill things outside of weapons. Supply drops, giant smoke bombs, EMPs.
We will be addressing the overkill system this year. It's something that we are at least hoping to address and expand upon.
Furmano2 says, gotta go, Almir. Welcome back from vacation. Hope you guys have fun. Thank you, dude. Thanks for your questions. Let's see. If you don't mind. It's KMD says, Almir, can I be real with you? This build feels like a passion project, while the main build feels like a corpo one. What happened? You had so many cool ideas for new features and kept stuff we liked, then it's gone. We want to learn more about what exactly happened with the game, as long as it's not behind an NDA or something. There is no ill will behind this question. We're just really disappointed to see all these features scrapped. You can have game ambitions, but listen to the community.
I can take some of that.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I've been in game development for a long while, and Almir has as well. And features being tested and scrapped is pretty normal thing. And I think there's sort of like, in general, like when I see something like this, like early builds of games that I like, there is some sort of mystique of like, ooh, what could have this been? Like where could have this gone? And sometimes we're right when we scrap something. Sometimes we're like, okay, we tested this, we just don't think it works. And sometimes we're wrong. Like we're not always correct. Not all cut features are like actually like cut worthy. In terms of that sort of aspect, I would say that there's a lot of stuff probably you haven't seen in the game that was in development at some point and cut because we just weren't happy with it or didn't think we could get it to a quality that was actually worthy of the players.
Yeah, I think that's a good answer. And I mean, our intention is never to make it feel like a corpo build or like go away from it feeling like a passion project. The Payday 3 is a passion project for all of us, and all the feedback we've been receiving, both during Operation Medic Bag, but also in streams like this, is super valid and interesting for us. So we'll see where we take Payday 3 in the future together. But yeah, just want to make that clear. Will there be a voice line update? It feels like there isn't enough interactivity, and there are only like 2 lines per heist or per dialogue options as zooted.
Yeah, that's part of what I mentioned, that we're actively addressing that internally. So no timeline, but we are aware of that issue.
Yeah, and of course we want there to be more voice interactions between the characters.
Billy Doer asks, can we get fully automatic pistols in Payday 3? Probably at some point.
Yeah. Remobit says, hey Almir, I hope you, Elizabeth, and me are doing fine. I can imagine how bad it feels to be a public face of a difficult situation. Yeah, well, you know what? We're going to get through this together, right? I think it's super important that we show ourselves like we've been doing on a weekly basis in our streams, inviting Mio into streams like this to talk about the game's future, but also its past, like we're doing this specific stream. So we don't mind that at all. We're just super thankful for your support, my dude.
Let's see.
Uh,
I think new hand gestures to unlock and use would be a fun way for us to interact with each other.
I like the idea of hand gestures, but
Yeah.
I can't really comment on that right now. But yes, I like the idea, and we've heard of it internally as well.
Zooted says, can we expect different weapon classes for secondaries? If not, can we cope with a Kimbo dual wield as an unlockable for pistols?
Akimbo comments. So Akimbo additions. Right now, I don't have a comment in terms of more secondary options. Yes, like down the line there will be more secondary options. I also see there was one question. Yeah, this is from R. Clint. Any comment on how easy Payday 3 has become since the last update? Any plans to balance things out in the future? So we are aware of some comments. We knew that the game was going to be easier because players have more skill points and more options now. It's fine for now. We have announced that we are doing loud modifiers for the game, so those will kind of even out the odds for very hard and overkill. So like how you have security modifiers right now for stealth, there will also be one modifier for very hard and one loud modifier for very hard, one loud modifier for overkill, and it will definitely make the game more challenging.
Watch your step, Kevin says, I respect the work the team is doing behind the scenes, even though the start wasn't optimal. I'm looking forward to the future. Don't stress it, guys. In a few months, the game will be perfect. Blessings to all. Thanks for your kind words. We will continue to work on the game, improving the experience for you all.
Cryptic Body asks, our challenge is going to be scrapped, stay the same, or incorporated in the progression changes. So we're replacing challenge-based progression with payouts that scale based on how many bags you've stolen in the heist in your playstyle. We will still have some challenges in the game, like the cook-up one, but in general, they're not going to be the primary method of advancing.
Garciator88 says, any opinion on adding a celebratory option for the communication wheel? That goes in line with the hand gestures.
Yeah.
It's a fun idea.
I think it's a good idea.
Potato03 says, I'm going to mention this again, but I was wondering whether we could make SWAT hostages more visible, because for me, I've died countless times when my hostage got buried in like 1,000 bodies and I could not find him to take as a human shield.
I will add that to my notes. I wasn't aware of that issue, so thank you.
Harald Free March says, can you please consider basing XP not on bags, but on total cash gained? It would give more options for level design due to loose cash being more valuable again. This is why collecting the small diamonds in the Payday the Heist Diamond Heist was so fun.
I can't really go into the details of the payouts right now, but we will have more to share about the feature when we're closer to launching it.
Will the unused Skulldozer mentioned in some streamers' videos come in someday as a loud modifier or other difficulty mechanic?
Unused Skulldozer. That might have been a placeholder from Payday 2. We have not had Skulldozers in any form in the game, like in terms of functionally a Skulldozer.
Would you like to see a Skulldozer in Payday 3 is my next question then.
I think if we had a Skulldozer as a loud modifier, it would have to be a modifier that says just dozers can spawn from the beginning and they're Skulldozers, just because so people don't skip on them.
Alright. So, let's see if we can find one last question. Will we ever get zipline bags in Dirty Ice? A friend of mine has like 1 million zipline bags. We need an answer.
I believe that the issue there is that zipline bags actually aren't meant to be usable in Dirty Ice, but there's a lot of other heists you can use them on. But that is an issue that we're aware of and we need to address.
Right. Thank you, Mio. So I think that's it for this stream. Thank you so much, Mio, for taking the time to talk with us. Chat, I hope this was interesting for you all. We have been playing an old prototype version of Payday 3 and been talking a bit about our thinking at the time, gotten some good feedback, especially regarding the drill that we designed at the time but never used in the final version of the game. So you might be seeing that in the future. We'll see. Fresh TV says, seriously, great stream. Thank you guys for this. Best morning content for a dev. Thank you so much. It looks like all of you in chat more or less were happy with the stream and the contents of it, that we showed this prototype and talked about it. Unique idea for a stream, unusual for devs to tackle leaks this way with their community, says Turdak. Yeah, but we're happy to do it in our way, the Starbreeze Overkill way, yeah? Nick Ski says, love you guys. Right back at you, Nick Ski. Thank you so much for tuning in. Sid CA says, thanks for the stream. Take care. All right, gang. Thank you so much to all of you for tuning in. We're going to let Mio go loose on Payday 3 yet again. And in the meantime, we will switch over this stream for the next hour, which will be me playing The Tribe Must Survive, which is an indie game we are publishing. So stick around, everyone in Twitch chat, for that stream. We will even name one of the tribe members into your nickname if you're lucky. All right, gang. Thank you so much. And I will be seeing you heisters in my next Tuesday stream. I'll probably be starting streaming on my own as well. Been missing out on that Payday action. So yeah, any parting words, Mio?
Yeah, have fun and keep those helmets flying.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that. Take it easy, heisters. See you
Bye.
next time.